This lesson covers the backup and restoration of group policy objects. Now I'm going to focus on the built-in group policy management console, but remember also the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack also has a full group policy management suite as part of that, which gives you far more functionality. It lets you check in, check out group policy objects, full change control. But for right now, I'm in Group Policy Management Console, I'm expanding my domain, and I'm scrolling down to Group Policy Objects. Remember, this is where all my group policy objects actually sit. To back one up, I simply right-click on that group policy object, and I say Backup. This will give a location, I can change this, and I hit the Backup. It's now completed. I could then navigate to that location, and there's one that's just been created. That's the backup of my group policy object. It's also showing me the details of actually what's in here and configured. So I can see this is my BitLocker configuration. I could then take this and import this into another domain, or I might actually say I need to restore this. So I could right click and say restore from backup. I would point it to that backup folder. It's going to show me the versions that were backed up and available in the timestamp. Next, and then click finish to import that in. So it's literally that easy to back up and then restore your group policy objects. I can also copy a group policy object. So if there's one maybe I want to make some changes to that's very similar, I can right click on one and say copy, and then I can just paste that in. I can say use the default permissions for new GPOs, or if there were special ones, keep them. Now I have a copy of my default domain policy. I'm obviously going to delete that very quickly. Now, typically you don't want to make lots of copies of group policy objects that have similar settings. It's far better to have a foundational group policy object with the common settings, and then create secondary group policy objects that have the unique settings. Don't create a master group policy object with every setting and then copy it 20 times with slight variations. That's hideous to maintain. Create that foundational group policy object, and then take custom ones with just the extra settings. Remember also, if you do want those starter group policy objects, we have starter GPOs. And these are initial configurations that you can then export out to a compressed file and distribute. Imagine you are creating a brand new software program and you want to give people group policy objects to start with that have most settings for your application. You could go ahead and create a starter GPO, configure the settings you want, and then ship that with your application or make available on your website. Companies could download it. It would now be available via the load cabinet. Then they can deploy a new GPO from that starter. So it gives them a head start. It defines a lot of the settings up front. So remember that great starter GPO functionality is available as well. As always, I can use PowerShell. So you can back up a group policy object using the backup-GPO PowerShell commandlet. Path it the GUID in the path. I can restore them, I can copy them, I can import. So all of those actions we perform from the GUI, I can do from PowerShell as well. This concludes the lesson on backing up and restoring group policy objects.